Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to We All Suck at Starcraft 2. My name is Killjoy, and today I'm bringing you another exciting game from the three of us playing Starcraft. Kind of okay, a little bit sucky. Anyway, down here in the bottom is myself, playing Terran. Up to the left there is Fruity Sama playing Zerg. And over on the right hand side there, Mr. Hybrid Toy, or Mr. Mark Kitchen, the man we all know and love, playing Terran as well. So I'm going to speed things up in a second. I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of how this fight's going to go. I'm primarily playing mech this game. Very weird build, but that's what I'm doing. You're going to see Dave go for, I think, Baneling Roach. I think that's what he's basically doing. I'm going to kind of ignore Mark for a little bit because he does play quite passively, so he doesn't come into the game until a bit later on. But you're going to see him build barracks, you're going to see him build factory, the sort of standard thing, Starport, that he's been doing these last few games that you've been seeing. But he will play quite passively, and he'll eventually expand and have a couple barracks, a factory, starport. Let's just speed things up because nothing really happens for a couple minutes. What you will see the other two do is you will see Fruity's already expanded. He goes and expand before pool. There. I think that's the right way around anyway. You will also see Mark will go for an expand before I do. I expand last out of three of us. I play quite aggressive, going for the double gas to get the factories out that I want, and not really building much bio at all this game. So you're going to see, like I said, Mark go for the standard kind of thing that he does, a couple double barracks, and I think gets a factory and a starport, expands and builds up a fairly big army and starts to get upgrades. Fruity, on the other hand, is going to saturate the hell out of this base. As he does, he's going to start pumping out some Zergy boys. But also what you will see, his creep spread in this game is he's got tons of tumors. That doesn't go particularly far on the map, but he does really put some emphasis into trying to put the creep out on this one. Also got his Overlord here for any expands, perfect for him because he knows anything comes this way, he's going to spot it. So let's just slow it down a sec, go back to my base. What am I doing here? Double factory, going for the Hellions. Knowing that he's playing Zerg and knowing that Hellions are pretty good against Zerg, you're going to see some interesting engagements go on that don't really benefit me too much. Like, the right unit compositions there don't execute it particularly well. It doesn't really do much damage, but it will. You'll see the one thing it does cause Fruity to do when we get there. But you're going to see I'm going to pop out about 4 or 5 before I start moving off. Fruity now with a few Zerglings, a few Zergy buddies. Queen at both bases now, I believe. Yep, now his Baneling nest is down as well. So trying to get out, trying to use Banelings more efficiently, something he prefers to use Roaches, as you can see with the Roach Warren going down over the Banelings, but trying to go for that this game. You can see Mr. Mark now has almost finished his expansion, going for his engineering bay. Got a reactor and a tech lab, building a factory. Standard stuff you expect to see from Mark, but you know, really hammering home for him that he's going for this Marine Marauder tank medevac build. That's pretty much what you're going to encounter every time, but that's what he's doing. The only thing I would say that you're going to see in these games is he needs to put his army over here or over here and really stop leaving them here and actually rally everything so that it's in a better place, because you want to be able to defend this. They're so far away. Oh, let's just roll back a little bit and go from here, because I just realised I'm about to attack out with these Hellions, and you're going to see these guys as they speed off. Oops, help if I push the play button. There we go. Now let's bear in mind, you know, primarily all that's here, I mean there are a couple of Banelings, but primarily all that here are Zerglings, and we know that these guys, they're pretty good against light. So let's see what happens. Let's see what my intention is, to try and get up this ramp and try and kill off as many workers as possible. But you know, I mean, just from that one volley alone, how many dudes did we kill? 2 on that one. So like, we've got 2 kills there. But my intention here, when I realise that he has got Zerglings, the Queen there, is to try and just bait him out, because I want him off creep while I'm fighting him. Because even though he's got Speedlings, I believe, I don't want to fight these guys on creep at all. I'd rather them get up the ramp, fire, manage to pop off a Baneling, which is great. But the biggest problem you're seeing is what this attack is essentially doing is giving him time to replace his army, which isn't too expensive. I mean, I am killing guys off, but you know, Hellions fire in a straight line. You want them to fire. Great for getting rid of them. You want them to fire. This was a waste, complete waste of time shooting this Queen. If I killed it, then it'd be fine, but I didn't. You know, he hasn't got a huge army now. You can see that he's only got 5 Zerglings. I, for some reason, built a Cyclone. But I decided to back off. I just don't think it's worth it. I mean, it did stop him from filling up this base. You know, during this time, I'm currently building an expansion. which is good. But it does stop him from building drones and filling out this, because obviously as soon as the Zergs got, you know, their base is full up, like, they are mining hard, and you're seeing that basically I've caused him to morph in way more Zerglings than he would like. You know, 5 Hellions show up your base. That's pretty scary if you've only got Zerglings. You want to surround them, and we'll have a look just to make sure, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, he had Speedlings, so they were a little bit quicker, if not the same speed, off creep. That's why I wanted to fight off this area, or even down here, because then I'm not having to chase them and they're not going to surround me as easy. But nice defense with both the queens. Nice having this up here, and also, okay, the banelings didn't really do much, but it meant I was wasting time firing at them and not firing at the queens or the drones or anything like that. So in a way, like, I kind of did some damage. I stifled his economy because he's not pumping out drones in the second base and he's not expanding. But at the same time, I'm only killing off lings, which are fairly easily replaced. So kind of a weird situation. I think we both kind of came off alright. Like, I played my hand. He saw that I was going for a more mech style build, or at least these Hellions, and I now know that during that time he's not building drones, he's building Zerglings to defend his base. Meanwhile, like I said, Mark getting a expansion. He has got some Marines here, which is good. You know, any time of air attack, he's got something to defend with. Getting the factory, pumping out tanks, but still not rallying his stuff either here or here. So anyway, we go back into this. We can see that I'm getting a tank out now. I'm getting Hellions still. I make the mistake of not getting Infernal Pre-Igniter or Blue Flame much sooner, which is a shame, because really that would have been better. If I had that sooner in the game, some of the attacks I attempted would have benefited me much more greatly. Also, you know, going for the armory now, because I need Hellbats rather than Hellions. I need something that can actually tank some of that damage, and because of the cone of fire, will be more efficient. As we're going to see, I'm going to push back over here, this time with 5 more, also with a Cyclone. I'm not really sure why I built the Cyclone at that stage. I mean, that is a lot of Zerglings. See, that's the benefit. I've caused them to build that much army. But ideally, you don't want that many Zerglings that early on. You want to be able to push out, but you're going for the double UO chamber there now. Now, let's just bear in mind that these guys still do a fair amount of damage. They're 0-0, these are 0-0. One of these is injured. 2 of them are, but like, I can kill a few Zerglings, but you know, I'm hitting a bunch of them. I'm definitely weakening them down, but yeah, not ideal. Though I do manage to kill off quite a bit of these Zerglings. So in a way, this army wasn't completely screwed up, but he sees the tank. He pulls back, manages to get all the Hellions, which is good for him. Still has a alright amount of lings, but again, I fought them off creep, which is what I wanted to do. I don't want to fight them on creep. But now you're going to see him pump out more queens, because they're, you know, having queens there, they can tank a lot of damage from Hellions. So these guys, if I'm focusing on this, I'm not shooting these, then so he's got these extra queens that are going to be pumping out a lot of creep here. Doesn't spread overly far, but it's a nice idea that he's just trying to push the creep out as far as possible. Obviously hugely beneficial. But during that time, look, now he's just getting drones. This is the look how many drones just popped out. Wow. That is what you don't want to see, like a Zerg being able to do that. So I managed to limit him to like 6 minutes in before he saturated this base, essentially. So that's pretty good. And then after this, we're just going to see him go for more Roach style and starting to go for upgrades. During this time, we can see, again, Mark still just... He's now got his starport down. He's going to start pumping out medevacs, getting a few tanks. I'm now pumping out a few more tanks, going for some Cyclones. Eventually now, I think, getting upgrades here, now getting +1. Also putting a reactor down. I am going to go for some Liberators, which you will see pop out, but let's just speed it up a little bit because it's a little bit on the quiet side for now. Just going to see see Fruity now getting roaches, and look at this creep spread. If he'd kept this up, that'd be quite nuts, because I don't ever want to fight him on creep. So me fighting up here at this point is the best place, because if I'm on the high ground and he tries to come up this ramp, I can block said ramp and fire down on him, even though it's still on creep. I don't want to be anywhere open where he can come around here. Also, Fruity going for his third. Tanks. So I've got a nice mixture of army now. I've got tanks. I'm now trying to get Hellbats. Got some Hellions in there, a Cyclone. Weird little mix. I do eventually slap on another... There we go. Perfect timing. Slap on another factory, because I realise I need more of this. I do eventually get another starport, but not quick enough. Like, at this point in the game, I should have had another factory, finally getting +1, now going for the armor as well. Mark during this time, now pumping out, oh, he's getting a couple of ravens. I forgot he got some ravens. I don't know if that was intentional or whether he just needed those for detection. Placing some nice turrets, having there and there, maybe one there would be more ideal, but I still like the fact that he is putting turrets down around his base in case of like DTs or some kind of drop, one there also. So as usual, Mark playing fairly passive during this game. Alright, so here comes this attack. Now, I don't know if I have it at this point. Did I get blue flame? That's really the question. Yes, I did. So, these guys are now finally upgraded. They've also got +1, which makes them highly powerful versus light units. Now, Fruity's going to see this attack coming pretty quickly, but you can see what he's got. He's got roaches, he's got some banelings in there, he's got quite a lot of roaches actually, and now trying to push out to this base. Get money out there and whatnot, but you're going to see this attack. And my plan here is to just try and stop him from leaving his base. That's what I want to do. So even though I'm here, I'm attacking from this angle, I want to stop him and push him back into his base. So I roll up here, a couple of liberators to try to take this. This is a waste of time. Liberators, even though they have an air attack, not the most effective thing. These guys now turn into Hellbats, which do insane amount of damage against light, which I want. Tanks needed to siege up much quicker. These guys, unfortunately, didn't line them up as quick as I would have wanted. Now they go down. But the tanks pretty much do all the work for me there, though I do lose most of the Hellbats, which is annoying. Oh, I killed off a queen. That's good. But yeah, my plan now is to just essentially siege up here to stop him from escaping his base, which is what this is. Whacking down a bunch of spore crawlers. And that attack caused Fruity to leave the game. Now, I will say he definitely he's admitted this to me. He struggles with liberators. He doesn't like liberators because you need hydralisks out or you need spore crawlers down, and most of the units he's building are ground only units. I mean, you obviously get queens that can do it, but yeah, I understand this is a frustrating attack because I've pretty much killed off his army. That's pretty much what's left, I believe. A couple lings, 5 roaches versus what I've got. He's got nothing that can shoot up, so I can just fly over here and basically kill off all of his drones because this base is primarily mined out, while my ground army, which consists of a lot of anti-armor actually. I don't know whether he got... Yeah, he didn't get any upgrades. These guys are very good against armored, and so are these guys. So, you know, that engagement up on here really benefited me, having the liberators and having make sure the tanks for firing down. So I was very lucky. Anyway, just speed it up because we're not going to see a little engagement. I go back to my base. Let's just look at how Mark set up his base quickly because this benefits him hugely. That tank was there. He's got a tank up there on the high ground. Can't shoot a huge amount, but it can shoot stuff here. He's got one here, so he's got his tanks nicely spaced out. Sorry. Pretty much mined out this base, and his biggest problem in this game is the fact that even though I attack and my attacks aren't particularly great, I don't really have the right units, or I don't deploy them well. He hasn't expanded past 2 bases. We're a 9-minute mark. These guys are about to mine out of this base, and then there's going to be a bunch of SCVs that are still around for most of the game, which is unfortunate. But let's see what happens. Got my 3rd factory coming down there. I think I'm about to put down another starport. Just trying to chuck out tanks, trying to chuck out cyclones, just trying to get everything. Now, I do eventually decide to expand in a minute, but as of right now, this is my army. It's not terrible. It's not particularly great. Just got something upgraded, which I think was armor. Yeah, lost armor there. So these guys are now on 1-1. And there we go, we're going to push out. Now, I quite like this army. It's a nice mix of things. 4 liberators should be more than sufficient. So I should have won, really. If you look at what he has at the moment, which is... Look, how many marines has he got? 32 marines, 2 ravens. So this is basically the only thing that can shoot up. What I have here is a fairly decent army, and the placement of these liberators was just really poor. They should have been right there, like just there, or they should have gone around where this tank is and deployed them here for this area. So let's just slow this down. And now I set my tanks up because my plan is to draw him out of his base. You know, I don't remember if I scanned him or not. I don't know what he's got for the most part, but I'm quite happy. I got +1/+1. It's got +1, yeah. So he's going to hit pretty hard, you know. And tanks, you don't really want to leave the enemy's tanks unchecked. So any second now. All right, these guys set up. this Liberator here. So this is the first mistake. Liberator's kind of flying around, and I try to set up, I think, and it gets shot down. So yeah, put that up. So he brings the rest of his army. So that's the thing. I gave him too much time. Most of his army is still stood here, so he brings it along. What I should have done was cancelled this and brought these guys back a bit, or come in from a different angle. Anyway, because I don't have the upgrade currently. I do end up getting a fusion core, not quite yet, but I needed that upgrade really to fight this battle. So there we go, I put them down, and this is great. They'll kill off a big chunk of the army, but there's way too many Marines here. Like, the DPS versus these guys completely wrecked me. So I have one left, and the problem is, he's got tanks. This guy does most of the work. This was look at this. What? Oh, this was poor. I mean, I kill off a good chunk of his army, and that's great. But the Cyclones weren't even attacking the tanks. Like, you know, that's the rest of his army there. So this is a mistake. Don't even know what I was doing here. I just thought, oh yeah, I'll seize these up here. Poor choices. Poor choice after poor choice after poor choice. I don't know what happened. I just, for some reason, should have pulled everything back, lined everything up better. I should have had my siege tanks sort of lined along here. Like there. That would have been perfect. Had the Liberators up here, they would have been able to fire up the ramp. And that was the problem. These were too far back the entire time. They should have been more here or here. And I haven't really built anything. I have got my third base suddenly underway, stacking up SCVs there, which is poor. This base is getting mined out, now pumping out tanks, Cyclones, Hellions, just everything like that, getting more Liberators. And, you know, really and truthfully, considering what Mark's got, he's almost mined out this base. He doesn't have that much production. That last attack should have been more sufficient. Now, you know, I have got +2 now. I do manage to wreck most of this army. Just slow it down a little bit. You see, there goes most of the Marines. But he's got tanks. And then he seizes the tanks up, which is not ideal. Cyclones coming in there. Hugely good against that, but they're attacking that dude for the wrong reasons. This is just suicide at this point. You know, they are 2-2. It doesn't have stim. I did not know that. So, did he not get stim or combat sheet? Oh, Mark, you didn't get any of your upgrades. Tut, tut, tut. Anyway, I put down a couple more Liberators to come up, try and get rid of these tanks. Using them to shoot off that. Now, these guys just die unnecessarily, because there's turrets here. I'm trying to be clever. This one just gets killed. I don't think it fires. Try and get rid of this Marine. I mean, the only benefit that I have in this entire match is that I have got 3 bases, I've dropped a bunch of mules, I've got loads of money and income. This is soon to be mined out. But I'm not building enough stuff quick enough. Like, I'm getting things, but not enough. I mean, what are we on? 2-2 now, which is, you know, better than what Mark's got, which is 1-1. I do send in a Liberator here, and this pretty much wrecks this entire line. And this is Mark's downfall, because look, this base is, what, 18 dudes here? Most of that should have been transferred over here, and this is the problem that he has in this game, because he doesn't replenish most of his SCVs. He focuses on building an army, but if you look at the income at this point, look at the difference how many minerals I've got in gas. I mean, he's got high gas, but his minerals aren't particularly high. So it's not going overly well for him. Backing out some marine stuff. I'm still going. I'm getting the attack ship upgrade now, and pushing up again with these guys. This was an attack that should have worked. This was just dumb. These guys aren't even attacking. But I do kill them, and then I move them away because I realise I need to put them in this mode. Kill off a tank. Look how many tanks he's got, and he deploys these guys here, which makes them really impossible to get. Bit of a wasted opportunity, really. I should have just gone in there and taken out the rest of these SCVs. This guy does, though. This is the golden guys. Napalm sprays everything. I think he kills off a bunch of these SCVs. Oh, look at this. 2 or 3 SCV kills. Bear in mind, most of this stuff doesn't get replenished. This is not mine out. Now, these guys basically stand here for the next 3 or 4 minutes before they even get moved, before he realises. During this time, Mark should have been putting down more production, especially on the bio front. I like the fact that he's got medevacs, but he should have been pumping out more things. And now here is an interesting engagement. So he finally decides to push out. I've literally got very little. I have 2 Liberators and a bunch of Hellions, and that is it. Just speed it up. And he stops. Now, if he hadn't stopped and just walked across the map, he could have potentially won, because his army, while it's not amazing, still has 2-2. These guys are good against armor. These guys are 2-1, so they're good against armor. He's got medevacs in there. He's got these ravens, which I don't think he realised what to do with them, unfortunately. But he does discover this base. He doesn't destroy this base, but I see this. I pop out of Thor at this point. I've got a couple Liberators. These guys go in, shooting all the wrong targets, but they are there shooting. And it's basically these Liberators that do all the damage. They take out the Marines, they can't fire up, and then they focus down on the tanks. The Thor dies. He's got some stuff firing at the SCVs, and which, you know, might have been the right idea, but primarily just kill off his entire army using the Liberators. He should have focused fire his units. He should have had the other tanks there firing stuff. Whipped out a Banshee at this point. Bit of a random one. Using these guys, I managed to kill off a Raven, kill off both Ravens actually, which was nice. And this is literally all I've got. For a little bit. Now I'm still pumping out. These guys should have moved over. This was a mistake. They should have been moved over. I must have forgotten about them. Trying to kill off a medevac here. And now what I decided to do is use the Liberators to put down a circle of fire here and here, because I know that he's only got 1 factory. He still hasn't moved these SCVs. Run into a turret, so I'm just like, well, he's got this army. So I just siege up there, essentially, and I take out tanks. Just trying to get rid of some of his more power. So he puts the Marines in here. This is the right idea, but essentially just one-shot Marines, and they are hitting for 80 damage. The Marine has, what, 45 health, so... Whoops! But I put him here so any tanks that pop out just get shot. And during this period, like I said, we know that he's got a little bit of an army here. My plan is to take this out. Now that he's mining again, he's obviously got more money. But you're going to see I've got another base far too late into this game. Now bringing in more Hellions, building tanks, Hellions, lots of Hellions. These guys, this is bad on my half. They should have been doing something, and especially the ones in gas. I think they were meant to move over. Not even mining gas at this point from a lot of these buildings, forgetting to replenish a lot of those SCVs, having too many workers here and there. Here we go, moving them forwards. Just taking them out. And I kill off most of these Marines as well. So he's literally got no army at this point, except for these guys who are stood here defending the front. But now I'm on 3-2, these guys are 3-1, so everything's heavily armoured. They're not going to die very quickly. Sending in the Liberators, which have now got the upgrade. And, oh yeah, and I built a battlecruiser. I forgot about that. So now I've got something that can just tank silly amounts of damage. And that's it. I mean, that's pretty much all she wrote. You know, as soon as they're gone, that's it. And this is a much better attack because the tank can see up the ramp and fire. And that's the problem with my earlier attack where I didn't do that. And at this point he realises he's got no way of winning because I've got all of this stuff in here. He's got a few bits of army left, but everything that pops out dies. As you can see in this game, it was a lot of fun to play this one. I liked the back and forth. I liked trying to go for the Hellions versus Dave. I liked the fact that Fruity was essentially trying to try out Banelings. He had a much better combination of army. You know, he GG'd out pretty early, but I think at that point, you know, he was a bit stuffed. He was in a hard situation because he'd only just started building anti-air, and even if I hadn't moved him in there, I had enough to wipe out what he had. So I played quite aggressive in this game, also expanding there. And Mark, actually, like, some of those engagements that I had, that was my biggest downfall, was those engagements when I had my tanks here. You know, they should have been closer to the ramp, they should have been firing on a lot of that stuff, then the rest of my units could have moved up and taken out the tank that was there, and even the one up there. I could have just put Liberators over them. So this game really went on like 10 minutes earlier, but I like the tenacity that Mark had, I like the fact that he attacked me, I like his army composition, while he's quite basic, is still good. Decent upgrades. Only biggest problems is he doesn't rally everything to the front, or at least I'll put it here, if not here. Should have built more barracks. And obviously SCVs. Don't want SCVs standing around for too long. But, you know, still a decent game. I think we all played well. We had interesting tactics. Overall, I had fun playing this game. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this. As always, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. Let us know what you think. Always a pleasure. Always like a bit of feedback. But until then, guys, I will see you on the next one.